This is the tale of two women who have lived for over 2 centuries. But as whispers of their truth begin to circulate, their haunting past returns with devastating consequences. We begin with a young woman named Eleanor, who's penning her life story in a diary. She reveals that she's forbidden to share her past with anyone. So to express herself, she writes her memories on paper and lets the wind take them. But one of those pages is picked up by an old man who begins reading it, unintentionally putting her secret at risk. Eleanor approaches him and claims it's all fiction, just fragments of her imagination. Yet the old man senses otherwise and invites her to his home. At his place, they sit together as he shows her a photo album of his family, his brother, his sister-in-law. But then, unexpectedly, Eleanor spots pages from her own diary glued inside the album. It's clear, he knows the truth. The man admits that as a child, priests warned them of blood-drinking vampires. Eleanor confirms it. She is one. He tells her he's ready for what she is. She doubts it, but he insists. Wanting to help him pass on, Eleanor sharpens her thumbnail and slices into his veins, drinking his blood until he's pale and lifeless. A chilling demonstration of how vampires feed. We cut to Clara, working as a stripper in a nightclub. One night, a stranger walks in asking for her. When confronted, Clara smashes a bottle on his head and runs. He gives chase through the city, eventually capturing her. Overpowered, Clara invites him home, pretending to surrender. But she quickly turns the tables, using a wire to strangle him and then beheading him. When Eleanor returns, she finds the corpse and demands answers. Clara says she had no choice. He was from a group called the Brotherhood and was after Eleanor. Knowing police will arrive soon, Clara urges Eleanor to pack. They flee to a coastal town. There, Eleanor recalls her time at an orphanage. As Clara searches for ways to earn money, she enters a diner, plays a haunting tune on the piano, and captivates a young man named Frank. He compliments her, but Eleanor walks away, keeping her distance from the world. Later, Clara meets a man named Noel. When he breaks down, grieving his mother, she seizes the moment, asks to stay with him, and he agrees. Clara then tells Eleanor they've secured a place to stay, Noel's guest house, Byzantium. That night, Eleanor dreams of becoming a vampire. In the vision, Clara takes her to a strange place, where Eleanor meets a mirror image of herself. The doppelganger bites her neck, and the nearby waterfall turns blood red. Meanwhile, back in Clara's old apartment, detectives Darvel and Savella investigate the decapitated body Clara left behind. Clara learns of the police search in the paper. Alone, Eleanor reflects on her past, a time when an older man approached her, claiming her mother was alive but that he was owed something. He then assaults her. Shattered by the memory, she weeps. Noel finds her and promises to keep her safe. At the beach, Eleanor finds a woman barely conscious. Believing the woman won't remember anything, Eleanor begins reflecting on Clara's past. Years ago, Clara worked along the same shore. One morning, two men on horseback approached her, Darvel and his superior, Ruffin. Clara offered food to Darvel, who kindly gave her a pearl in return. But Ruffin, more sinister, lured Clara with promises of gifts and abused her. Afterward, he declared that he'd given her a profession. Months later, Clara gave birth to Eleanor and left her at an orphanage with gold and a note saying the mother had died. Eleanor grew up believing she was an orphan, which explains her flashbacks in the present. The next day, Eleanor, while thinking about attending college, accidentally runs into Frank, causing him to cut his hand. Bleeding heavily, Frank stumbles home. Eleanor follows carrying his bike. When they arrive, she watches as his parents rush him to the hospital. Overwhelmed by bloodlust, Eleanor drinks from the blood-stained cloth he left behind. Meanwhile, Clara wanders into a shady area, seduces a cruel man, and kills him near the beach. Back with Eleanor, she visits Frank in the hospital. Seeing his blood flowing through the IV nearly makes her lose control. Frank's mother, Gabby, arrives and tells Eleanor that Frank has leukemia and is on anticoagulants. Understanding his condition, Eleanor quietly asks Gabby not to mention her visit. Later, Eleanor senses a dying old woman and, with permission, gently feeds on her. Afterwards, she enrolls at North Haven College. In class, students are asked to share personal stories. Eleanor talks about her orphanage days and her mother peering at her through a skylight, unaware she was alive. Professor Milton is intrigued and assigns a personal essay titled, "I Am." Later, Eleanor and Frank walk on the beach, and he admits he knows she visited him in the hospital. His mother even thinks they make a good pair. Eleanor confesses that any relationship would be dangerous. She hints she's hiding a dark truth. Frank comforts her, and they nearly kiss, but she pulls away and runs. We flash back to Clara's past. She was Ruffin's preferred victim. While he slept, a young man in a dark coat entered the room and asked Clara to open the curtains. The man, revealed to be Darville, confronts Ruffin, who's shocked. He watched Darville die in battle. Darville says he's back to deliver a gift and will return at nightfall. Clara demands answers. Ruffin confesses that when Darville fell ill, he became obsessed with a legend, a cave on a secret island said to house a nameless saint who could grant immortality. Two strangers eventually gave Darville a map. He and Ruffin set sail, reached the island, and climbed to the cave. Darville entered alone while Ruffin fetched water. A cloud of bats emerged, and the waterfall turned red. Darville was gone. Inside, Ruffin found his lifeless body and stole his ring and money. That night, Darville returned, alive and transformed, and offered Ruffin a map to immortality. Before leaving, he reclaimed his ring. Inspired, Clara, sick with tuberculosis, stole Ruffin's gun, shot him, took the map, and made the journey herself. Entering the cave, the waters turned red. She too had become immortal. But the Brotherhood of Vampires disapproved. As a woman, Clara wasn't allowed to create another like herself. Back in the present, Eleanor gives Frank her essay, but reading its bizarre truths, Frank seeks her out. Clara tries to block him. Fearing exposure, Clara interrogates Eleanor, who lies and says she only wrote about her orphanage days. Eleanor meets Frank and defends her story as entirely true. Frank shares the essay with Professor Milton, who gives it to Principal Morag. They find the story disturbing. Eleanor describes her mother as a sucreant, a blood-drinking monster. Milton visits their home, warns Noel, and says that if Clara doesn't come to school within 24 hours, he'll call the authorities. Principal Morag invites Eleanor for a meeting. She questions the story's validity, but Eleanor calmly warns her that, in time, the truth will surface. She even paints a grim picture of visiting Morag decades from now, old and frail, and putting her out of her misery. Eleanor plays the piano to vent, and Frank appears again. Angry that he shared her secret, she confronts him. To make amends, Frank invites her to his birthday. She accepts and plans to gift him something special, the map to the nameless isle. Meanwhile, Clara confronts Milton. Realizing their secret is out, she shares her side. She tells him that Ruffin once attacked Eleanor to hurt Clara for stealing the map. Clara killed him, and realizing Eleanor was infected with syphilis, took her to the nameless isle to save her. She made her immortal, breaking the Brotherhood's rules. Then Clara kills Milton and leaves his body behind. That night, Eleanor visits Frank. Because vampires need permission to enter, he invites her inside. They kiss for the first time. But during the moment, Eleanor accidentally scratches him. Horrified, she runs. But Frank follows and begs her to take him to the island. Though hesitant, she agrees after hearing his resolve. Back at Byzantium, Eleanor packs to leave. Clara and Noel try to stop her. In the struggle, Noel falls to his death. Eleanor, trapped in the elevator, can only watch as Clara rushes to kill Frank to protect their secret. Elsewhere, Morag discovers Milton's corpse and calls the authorities. Darville and Savella accompany her to find Eleanor. Clara reaches Frank's house, but he refuses to let her in. When she coaxes him outside, she grabs him by the throat. Meanwhile, Eleanor uses Noel's phone to call Frank, but it's too late. Fortunately, Darville and Savella arrive just in time to free Eleanor. Hearing their voices, Clara realizes the threat. She releases Frank and races home. The others flee with Eleanor in handcuffs. Clara jumps onto the car, but Savella knocks her off. As he charges toward her in the vehicle, Clara narrowly escapes. Morag screams in terror, prompting Savella to snap her neck. He then sets out to finish Clara. Eleanor pleads with Darville, shows him the pearl he once gave Clara, and reminds him he was once kind. She ambushes Savella and fights fiercely, eventually gaining the upper hand and choking him with a chain. But before she can finish, Darville intervenes. Now outnumbered, Clara is captured. Darville draws a sword forged in Byzantium. Savella urges him to end it. Clara pleads for her daughter's freedom. Savella restrains her, but in a twist, Darville decapitates Savella instead. He spares Clara, who embraces Eleanor. Afterward, Clara gives Eleanor money and sets her free. Though stunned, Eleanor understands. It's time to live her own life. Darville praises Clara's efforts to protect the powerless. Now hunted by the Brotherhood, they vow to remain hidden. In the final scene, Eleanor rows a boat with Frank toward the Nameless Isle. As they approach the sacred cave, the waterfall turns red, signifying that Frank has become immortal. And that's the story of two immortals bound by blood, hunted by their past, and willing to do anything to protect each other. If you enjoyed this haunting tale of survival and sacrifice, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a recap. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay sharp and stay in the shadows.